Hey there, Bubby! Welcome to Shanghai. My name is Duke, and this is another grading video. So, go to the video immediately prior to this one in the playlist if you would like the preamble of who I am and what I do and all of that. But just quickly, in a nutshell, I work for a company that buys and sells comic books online. I am the grader. The books you're looking at will end up on eBay in about a week or so after this video goes up. The grade you see, I will be the one who processed that grade. So if you go to bid on a book and you don't like the grade, I'm the guy you're mad at. I do hasten to add that although I don't mind saying the name of the company, the seller name is .com Comics, and you can also go to the website .comcomics.com. We have a retail store in Freeport, Maine. We buy comic books and also have a storefront at sellmycomicbooks.com. There's another YouTube channel in which we process incoming collections. We have videos of that, unboxing and processing those books, and that channel is Sell My Comic Book. But again, this video is not meant to be a commercial for the company. This is Shanghala is my personal channel. This is just something I'm doing on my own time. It's about a 15 or 20 minute warm up to my work day to kind of ease into the grading. And it's just a chance to share the sort of fun and joy and excitement of collecting comic books, old comic books, with my fellow comic book fans, and maybe trade a few tips and tricks when it comes to grading. And hopefully, to generate some dialogue and some discussion about old comic books and grading in the comments section below. But if you have something you want to say and you don't want to say it in the comments, you can certainly reach out to me. I am at DuragoDuke on all of the social media. So I am going to start the clock here because I do not want this video to go more than about 15 or 20 minutes because, again, this is just a little bit of a warm-up for my workday. And I will apologize in advance because you will probably from time to time see, well, you're going to see my hands anyway, so hopefully they're clean. But you may see the cord to the microphone. You may see the back of my head from time to time because I'm recording this on an iPad, which is on a post over my head where I do the grading. And when I grade, I take my glasses off, use kind of raw, naked eyes, and I have to get kind of right up close to the book. Hopefully, I will be able to move this around so that you can see the cover pretty well, although you're probably not going to be able to see all of it at once, except for when it is sitting down here. And so this is Batman number 158. Well, this is, what year is this? 1963. So that's before I was born. I came along towards the end of 1967. The biggest thing with this book is a spine roll. You can see right there on the edge. Hopefully if I'm holding it properly, you can see that on both sides. A little less on this side, but definitely on the top. So somebody folded that book back when they first read it. And you can certainly see there, you can see the spine roll. When we put these books on eBay, we don't do photos, we do scans, and then in the description will be listed any defects not immediately evident. Well, that spine roll is going to be pretty evident, but I will probably still have the lister cite the spine roll. And for my money, you really, unless it's a very minor spine roll, sometimes you can get away with a 4.5 or a 5, meaning a very good plus or a very good fine grade. Usually, a spine roll is not going to be much more than a 4. Now, the good thing about this book, you got lots of little micro tears along here, but nothing, really major. No major transverse splits there. And you got some issues going on here. But I do not think there's enough going on that I'm really going to... You do have a tear right there. And some more there. Well, now that I see this, I'm leaning a little more towards a 3.5. Let's look inside. The pages are pretty nice. Some Batman stuff going on. By Bob Kane. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But the centerfold looks tight. Let's check that bottom staple. No. The The centerfold's actually detached from the bottom staple. So that's going to sink it for me. I'm going to call this a 3.5. So there you go. What do you think? Would you call that a 4, a 4.5? Would you go down to a 3 or a 2.5? Like I said, I'm going to call that a 3.5. So for an old dog like me, a 3.5 kind of equates to sorry, I'm trying to get that in the box here as I'm talking. 3.5 is a very good minus. So I'm going to write that on this little sheet here that I pass off to the people who list the book on eBay with the grades I have given them. And now we're going to look at this next one, issue 166. This would be right at the height of the Batman TV show, and I think that cover's detached. Let's see. Well, it's certainly detached from the front cover. The bottom, top staple, and the bottom one's just kind of hanging on there. Not particularly dynamic art. That's probably Sheldon Mayer posing as Bob Kane, although it looks like they've taken the Bob Kane. Oh no, he's right there. I see it. He was hiding on me. The credit. I was going to say it looks like they've taken it off. So the other thing here with this book, apart from being detached to the top staple, you have some abrasion here between the staples where that paper quality is kind of degraded. You've got like the top layer of the paper has kind of come off. We've got some issues along the top here that that's kind of a lot of stressing there. It looks like it was dropped on its head a couple of times. And the cover, you can see, is not quite straight anymore, assuming that it was when it first came off the press. And you got a little bit of dinginess here on that back cover that I don't really love. Rendezvous with a robbery, huh? Okay, well. But the centerfold is tight. Nothing appears to be missing, although we do have a rip on the centerfold there. Let me just double check and make sure that is actually attached. Yeah, it's attached, but there's a rip on that bottom staple on the centerfold. So with the accumulation of defects there, being the spine abrasion, all of this bending and stuff there, and then the fact that the cover's detached, I'm actually going to call that, although you might look at that and immediately think, well, that's not that bad. That's a decent looking copy. I think I'm still going to call it a 3. I'm going to call that a 3.0. Now, some people might say I'm undergrading, but I tend to be a little conservative. I could probably get away with a 3.5, but I just don't like those defects. So, 3.0, I'm writing on the sheet here to the side. Cover detached top staple. Spine. Abrasion. I can't really spell abrasion. Between staples. And I say that this is not work, that it's the warm-up. And it is. I'm kind of doing this the first 20 minutes of the day on my own time as kind of a warm-up, because I'm not going to charge the boss for me to have fun making a video. And because these videos, it takes a lot longer to grade, to sort of point out everything I'm doing and talk about the book. This book's a mess. But still, these books will go through for work. Basically, I end up giving the first 20 minutes away. So this is the first appearance. Well, let's be real clear here. You will see this occasionally listed as the first appearance of the Scarecrow. It is not. He appeared first in, I think, or last prior to this, way back in like 1943 in, if my memory serves, Detective Comics 73. Look that up. Let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong. But you will often see this listed as first appearance of the Scarecrow, and occasionally more correctly as first Silver Age appearance of the Scarecrow, which is correct, or perhaps you'll see it as, first Earth 1 appearance of the Scarecrow. But it's definitely not the first appearance of the Scarecrow. It is his first Silver Age appearance, and I do love me some go-go checks, the DC go-go checks. But as I said, this book would ordinarily go into a lot if it wasn't for that first Silver Age appearance of the Scarecrow. So is the cover detached? Let's check that first. And it is detached from the bottom cover, and it is split all the way up to here. How far is that? Where's my ruler? Where's my ruler? So that is a 6-inch bottom spine split, cover detached to bottom staple. Really kind of ugly here along the side. The boss will actually probably get mad at me because I'm kind of discouraging you from buying this book. But you can get the first Silver Age appearance of the Scarecrow probably pretty reasonably. And again, we have this chunk missing from the back. So not to discourage you from buying it, but to let you know what it is you're buying. Page quality isn't that bad. Ooh, look at this. Can you see that on camera? I hope you can read that. And of course, keep in mind, this was kind of 1967, the height of or just coming off the height of the Batman TV show craze. But this is total paid circulation, single issue nearest the filing date. So this would have been September 66. Oh, this is October 66. So yeah, September 1966 would have been the nearest issue. Circulation sales 1,036,352 copies. Average for the preceding 12 months, each issue 898,470 copies. Batman today sells probably what? About 80,000 copies a month? Sometimes if that. If you are Mr. Comicron, whose name I'm forgetting, although I know there are 3 of them, please do leave a comment below and let me know what Batman sales actually are. So yeah, I'm going to call this a 2. That's a 2. I almost could go to 1.8, but no, I think it's a 2 because it is attached. The cover is attached. You got a little bit of schmeg right there. I don't know if you can see that on the camera where I'm pointing. Can you see that? It looks like, well, now that I've run my fingers through it, it looks like somebody sneezed and it stuck. That looks like a big old booger right there. So, do I want to take off points for the booger? You tell me. How many points is a booger worth on the grading scale? And I think I am actually going to go down to a 1.8. It's just, So cover detached, bottom staple, 6-inch bottom spine split. Foreign, there's another word I can't spell. Foreign material front cover. Between Scarecrow legs. Boop. And I'm writing that pretty small, so my lister, is probably not even going to be able to read what I just wrote. All right. Like I said, I'm having fun. I don't care. I don't really care about you. So this book is, it's Batman 200. It's not the best copy I've ever seen. This one's going to be about a 2.5 maybe. Because you've got some water staining here along the top. A little bit of an 1/8 of an inch spine split and a pretty significant tear there. Some general wrinkling. You get some kind of foreign... There's another sneeze booger right there. And you get some stresses. It's an ugly book. You can see all of the problems there. And I say ugly, but again, you know, you can get a pretty good deal on this compared to the... Oh, look at that. We have another statement of ownership here. So from 189 to 200, oh, hell, TV show's over. We just dropped off a cliff. Total circulation, average 12 preceding months, 805,700. Issue nearest the filing date, 574,300. So, after the TV show ended, because this will be 69, yes, no, 68. After the TV show ended, Batman lost, and look, oh, it's another Scarecrow. Interesting. So from Scarecrow to Scarecrow, after the end of the TV show, we lost about 500,000 copies per issue. So that shows you the value of TV, which sort of makes me wonder why DC doesn't have a Stargirl comic book out right now. I mean, that would seem to me to be a natural. Somebody watches a Stargirl TV show. You would think, assuming they could find a local comic book store, that they would go in and want a Stargirl comic book or a Justice Society. So at the very least, you would think the smart comic book store would have maybe stocked up on some back issues of Stargirl, Stars and Stripes, JSA, and whatever trade paperbacks they could get. So I'm going to call that a... I'm going to call it a 2.5. Without that water staining, I might have called it a 3. But with that water staining across the top. And the booger. I'm going to call it a 2.5. I'm going to write booger cover on the little thing here and see if the lister actually puts that in the description. Water stain, top, front cover, booger, front cover. All right, what do we have for time? We're at 15. We got another 5 minutes or so to go. Well, this book is not all that wonderful either. Call Me Master. Okay, Batman, would you blow up? Wayne Manor, you blew up Wayne Manor. Like that hasn't happened before. Or I guess more properly, like it hasn't happened since. So what do we got here? We've got about a 1/4 inch spine split down at the bottom. We have all of these defects here. And I mean, that runs the whole gamut all the way up. Pretty significant stresses. You got something going on there. And you got this fold here. So, and a spine split up here, another 1/4 inch spine split. So I'm kind of down below a 4 at this point with all of those accumulations. I'm at like a 3.5. What do you think? Would you call that a 4 or a 3.5? And sometimes this is splitting hairs, and it's very subjective. You got a little bit of a 1/8 of an inch hole in the spine there. Well, not really, just in the cover. Hot Wheels. I always preferred Matchbox to Hot Wheels back in the day. I don't know why. Of course, now they're both owned by who? Mattel? So they're effectively the same. Oh, we're definitely down to 3.5 now because our centerfold is detached from the bottom staple. Now we have to look. Nope, the next wrap is attached. So, I love Irv Novick though. When I was at the height of my Batman reading phase, which goes back to the early 80s or so, the art was by Irv Novick. Of course, you had Jim Aparo over in Brave and the Bold, but Batman and Detective Comics was Irv Novick and Don Newton, and that was just some great, great stuff. That should all be traded up, put in trade paperbacks. So what I had to say that was 3.5. I don't think it's quite bad enough to go down to a 3, but it is definitely too much going on to be a 4. So 3.5. And we've got 1/4" top spine split and bottom spine split, centerfold detached bottom staple. So I don't know if I said earlier, I can't remember, but we don't do photos when we post these to eBay. We do scans of the front and back cover. But even with nice high quality, high resolution scans, not everything is going to show up. So anything that's not immediately evident, primarily things going on with the spine and inside the book that you can't see on the scan, we list that in the description. So this listing, will say Batman 215 3.5, and they'll probably put Scarecrow, or was that Scarecrow? No, that wasn't Scarecrow. That was Destruction Wayne Manor. I don't know. Maybe Irv Nova. They'll list something somebody will be searching for. And in the description, it will say that the book has a 1/4" top spine split, 1/4" bottom spine split, and centerfold attached bottom staple. So we are at about 19 minutes. So this is going to be the last book we do for this video. And we've got 2 of this book. And this is interesting. I see a lot of this particular issue. I don't know why that is. Do you have a theory? It's November cover date, so that means it would have come out in August. August is usually, July, August, the highest circulation months of the year. At least they were back then. Well, things are a little more steady these days. It's just a general precipitous decline. If you get a book that falls off 2% every month, you're doing okay. But back then, you would have highs and lows. You'd have peaks and valleys all year long. The sort of the vagaries of the newsstand distribution. And certainly the summer months were higher. So I don't know if there was just a lot more of this book out there because it was a summer book. And maybe, I don't know why so many of them end up in the collector market rather than staying in the collections. Or if maybe DC overprinted, or maybe at some point, because this is, what is this, early 70s? This is actually 1970. We're starting to get into the point where the collector market is kind of coming online. And you would have sometimes the early dealers would go to the distributors, buy the books right out of the warehouse. They'd never even hit the newsstands. And the distributor would report them to DC as unsold. Which is funny, during this period, Batman and Detective Comics both were legitimately lesser lights in the DC pantheon. They were not as high circulation. Some of that is because it just wasn't as popular back then in the 70s up through kind of into the 80s is when he kind of finally started to gain power with Superman. But certainly through this time frame, less popular. So there's that. But also, if the dealers did do any of that, it would have looked even worse to DC as far as sales if the books are being reported unsold. Or it could be that just a cache of books that were supposed to be destroyed because they were unsold. And it was kind of an honor system with the distributor. They claimed they didn't sell it and that the books were destroyed. And maybe they weren't, and they found their way onto the collector's market. These obviously have been read, so they probably were purchased off the newsstand. But again, back to the original point, this particular issue, I don't know why I see a lot of. Like every Batman collection that comes in has got this issue in it. Every Bronze Age collection, and I see it a lot as a single, and and I actually have it. So anyway, that little side discussion will put this video over 20 minutes. So we've got some moisture warping here. You probably can't see it, but I can certainly feel it. We've got a little bit, you can see there, of a spine bend, the beginning of a spine roll. Quite a few tick marks. So if it was just the tick marks, I might call it a 4-5. It's too much for a 5. But with that moisture wrinkling, not quite to the point where I want to call it water damage, but certainly like a water spot of some kind. Centerfold's tight. That is maybe not the greatest thing. I'm probably going to call that a 4. And so again, look at that. What do you think? What would you call it? Got some bends there, but yeah, I'm gonna call that a 4, and I'm just gonna challenge anybody to tell me I'm wrong as the microphone falls, and I probably just sounded like I'm all far away there all of a sudden. 4.0 moisture wrinkling buck cabal, and here it is again, the man with 10 eyes. And I don't know if this is the same character. I don't think it is, because I don't see it anywhere in here. But there's one Batman issue that freaked me out as a kid, because the guy had eyeballs in the tips of his fingers. And this guy's all about his hands and seeing with his hands, but I don't see any eyeballs. No fingertip eyeballs. Lots of eyeballs there, but not in the fingertips. So this one's a little better. There is no moisture damage here. You don't have quite the same creasing that you had in the other one. This is not quite as bad, or quite as many, or quite as deep. Although you do have this corner here is kind of bent and blunted. So I think this one I'm going to go 4 or 5. It's not quite good enough to be a 5. So, you know, a 5 would be very good fine, and this isn't quite good enough to be legitimately called a fine. But it's not really bad enough to be a very good, just because like all in here is clean and flat. It presents fairly well, you know, except for that. Although you do have either some color fading or kind of a fingerprint in the ink there. And some little tears here, but I think I'm still going to call that one a 4 or 5. So if you agree or disagree, you know what to do. There's really no particular defects to list with that one. And that was the last book for this particular video. Looks like we went 25 minutes this time. So thank you very much for watching. Please do like, share, subscribe, do all the groovy things. Do appreciate it. It will help the channel grow. Comment to your heart's content. And until next time, good night, good luck, and please be good to each other.